All right, this will be a quick video just to show some of the things I did to prepare this guitar for the actual playing test. I did a setup, was able to lower the action a good bit, was able to get the pickups to be better in terms of their angle. They were too high on the front edge of the guitar, which meant I had string imbalance and couldn't raise this anymore without touching the strings. That was a combination of the compression of the plastic rings and the bunched up cables beneath. That'll be shown in some detail. I was able to get the bar so that it moves freely when I want it to, but stays where I leave it. So that's nice. That also improved the tuning stability a bit. I tightened the nuts on the tuners, which are all a little bit loose. I cleaned up the slots in the nut a little bit, put some lubricant in there. I changed the wiring to 50s. I'll show you all that in just a moment. And then I balanced the pickup height. Now this is the 2204 again on the clean channel, and this is where I have the pickups right now. This may change as I play this through some different amps. Now, even on the clean channel, it's a pretty bright amp. I'm a little concerned that the bridge pickup might be a little too bright and not enough upper mid-range presence to my ear. For right now, I can just turn the tone control down a little bit. And as far as the 50s wiring goes, it just retains the highs better as I turn it down. Has some other uses that I'll show with some different amps later, but overall I'm thinking this guitar is feeling and sounding really good. I coil tap on my Strat. I've coil tapped a lot in the past, but remember that you can just turn the volume down a little bit. And it gets in that area, you know, single coil. So now I'll show you all the little detail things that I did. I don't remember if I mentioned, I had to flip the G saddle to get the intonation just right. So that's fairly common. All right, I have the comb removed, which has the arm on it, and I've got the bridge removed. Now this bridge is an ABR type, and it says ABR1 on there, but it doesn't have the spring clip that holds the saddles in place. So these saddles will fall out if you're not careful when you're changing strings. If you get this set to how you really want it, you can put a little bit of clear nail polish on there or whatever to keep it from falling out. Just know that this will fall off the guitar, the complete thing will fall off the guitar, and these saddles can fall out and go scattering across the floor. So bear that in mind. Now I remember how stiff this was. I was able to adjust it now so that it's free swinging but not floppy. So it's not going to creak, and it's not going to be it'll stay where I leave it, but I can move it easily. So now side to side pressure won't translate into up and down pressure. And the way you do that, and it's best to do this off the guitar because you don't want to script the finish, there's very little space beneath this, is you loosen this nut on the bottom, then you set the overall tension with this screw. Make sure you have the correct flathead in this case. Some of them have Phillips. I don't know about the production ones now having Phillips, but some Vibrolas have Phillips. And then once you get the arm where you want it to be, then you tighten this back up and it should stay there. So if you have one that's stiff like this was, that's how you loosen it. you run into an older one of these where it's just flopping around or making noise, that's how you tighten it. Down the line, I will probably replace these plastic spacers with Teflon, but for right now, they're new and everything's working fine. So I'm happy with that. So on to the next bit. All right, I redid the control wiring so that the tone circuits are done to what's called 50s style. That's just moving the connection from the input of the pot to the wiper of the pot. That means when you turn the volumes down, the tone circuit is loading the signal less, loading the pickup rather less, which means that you don't lose as many highs as you roll down the volume. It's not as bright as a lot of the treble bleeder circuits out there. I find it's a very simple way to get a natural response throughout the entire sweep of the volume pot, and lets you do some cool plexi tricks with the tone circuit, which I'll show later. While I had it opened, I measured the pickup outputs unloaded, and the neck is 7.91K and the bridge is 7.92K. So those are both pretty much what I expected, and they're very closely matched. So no surprises really there. Everything's looking good, and the 500K pots are all in the 450K to 470 range, which is pretty typical. You've got to sort out the ones that are actually 500 or higher, but I don't see any problems with these pots, so the cover's going to go back on, and I'll just make some music with it. Okay, remember that the pickups, as they came in, were much higher like this. So even though the ring was at an angle, these were flat to the body. And that seems to have just been because of the way the springs were bunched up. So I just tilt them a little bit more, and I move the spring, and I'm able to get them much more following the plane of the ring. So I'm going to fine-tune that when I don't have the camera running, because I only have two hands. But the route looks really good. Enough excess that there's no tension, but not so much that it's bunched up. That's not contributing to the issue, though I think it might be. I have to make sure I'm not hitting that with the sides of the pickup frame. But that should let me follow this line, this angle, as opposed to having them up. Now I can't get it to go how it was. Each of them were much higher on the neck side, and meant that I couldn't raise this up closer to the strings because this front edge would touch before this was even close. So this should allow me to get them much better, and it's nice to know that that's not a problem. While I have this set up like this, in the previous video I mentioned that there's some slop in how these posts go into the receivers in the body, the bushings, and it's just really a lot. That's not a good tolerance. I've put in Tone Pros and Fabers for people, and they don't have that slop, so that's contributing to the issues with the tremolo. Gibson could do a lot better on that, and that's one thing where a real ABR doesn't have that issue, because that post is directly into the wood. There is no play. Now, those old posts on the ABRs themselves can be bent over the years. You can use two wheels, if necessary, one up against the wood to give those a little more stability. So this is a downside of the new bridges that they're using and the way they're mounted in the body. They just don't have great tolerances there. So, you know, at this price point, it is what it is, but I think this could be better at this price point. So I think that's legitimate. I conditioned the fretboard. It was very thirsty. I'm not going to worry about polishing the frets right now. That's a very labor-intensive thing to do. You can see some tool marks there. When I take this to my friend / guitar tech for a new nut, he will make all these kind of marks go away, and these frets will be highly, highly polished. So this is the factory with the plucking, and pluck only does so much. But, you know, it plays really well. I know that it'll play even better when he's done with it. So, but the rosewood really, really needed that conditioning. Next bit, using the proper 10mm socket, I'm going to make sure that each one of these nuts holding the tuners on is tight. I don't want it to be over tight, but I don't want any of them to work out loose. They're all varying degrees of not quite tight enough, in my opinion. Though they aren't loose, it's best to have them start at a certain point. And remember, don't use too much tension or you can break things off. Just enough to make sure that these are not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I think we're ready to do the real playing video. So I think this guitar is feeling and sounding great. I forgot to show you the tremolo, didn't I? The vibrato. So I'm still getting used to the bar, but it moves freely, doesn't make all the clinging noises when I move it, stays where I want it, gets out of the way when I want it to, and doesn't affect the tuning as much now. Okay, stay tuned for the real playing videos with real mics and all that. This was just a little quick thing to show where we're at.